Now here's Tom Brokaw with a special program note.
Thanks, Jane. Do you know this man? At just 39, he's the richest guy in America. What he does affects your life every day. He's one of the most powerful and controversial people in America. But who is he really? This tycoon. Join me for a primetime special coming up after Dateline right here on NBC. Stone?
Thanks, Tom. Now let's take a look at one of the stories we're working on for next week's Dateline.
You buy the safest car seat, make certain it's buckled in, but your child could still be sitting in a death trap.
Hi, Dana.
Hi.
Dana's seat worked, so did her seat belt, but they didn't work together.
How many kids are going to die?
We'll show you the solution, and our hidden cameras will show you how some car dealers aren't even aware there's a problem.
I could just use the existing seatbelt, nothing
right.
special.
There's nothing, no problem with that.
How safe is your child? That's next week on Dateline.
That's Dateline for this Friday. We'll see you next week. Tomorrow morning on Weekend Today, water safety tips for your children in time for summer. I'm Stone Phillips, and for all of us here at NBC News, good night.
For a transcript, call 1-800-777-TEXT. To purchase a video segment, call 1-800-420-26. America's most watched news magazine program, Dateline and NBC News, now more than ever.
Now, Tycoon, the Bill Gates story on NBC.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Gates.
Many believe he may be one of the smartest men of this century. Others think he may be part computer himself.
Oh, yeah.
What we know for certain is Bill Gates is the richest man in the country, with the largest fortune any American has ever assembled, more than $11 billion. And he does evoke strong feelings.
He doesn't just want to win, he wants to vanquish his opponent, leave them dead.
I don't call that being a robber baron, I call it being very competitive, and Bill will stay competitive.
And the question is, where does fearlessness end and ruthlessness begin?
Gates made his fortune by founding Microsoft Corporation, the world's largest producer of computer software. All those boxes of disks have made Microsoft worth more than General Motors. And Gates generals say that's only the beginning.
Bill Gates gets up here and he says, we finished a great year. $4.6 billion. $4.6 billion. And now I want to hear some enthusiasm for $4.6 billion.
His competitors were encouraged last year when Gates took some time off work and married Melinda French, one of his employees he met at a company picnic. Their wedding was a lavish affair on a Hawaiian island, and Gates booked all the hotel rooms and helicopters to keep out the press. Only this picture was released. Back home near Seattle, the Gates are building a grand mansion, partly underground, that could wind up costing $50 million. A home of the future, absorbing pictures and information transmitted from around the world.
I hear and I see his view of the future, and frankly, it scares me. I don't want a future in which one company controls all of our choices.
He's a cipher in that we don't know what's there. We're not sure what he's doing. He's doing something about software. He's giving us software, but why should we be concerned about that? How could the brains of our computers affect our lives in the future? He is, in his legal battles, in his eating up of companies, there's a kind of a reawakening and a reassessment of really who is that fellow? What is he up to? And really, how big is he getting?
Some people believe that you have an infinite appetite for power, that you are the embodiment of a button that was around during the 1980s that said, I want it all. You want to dominate your business, the writing of software, you want to dominate the technology, and you want to eat up your competitors. Is that unfair?
It doesn't ring any bells with me. In a field like ours, there isn't much in the way of power.
Gates can have those moments of public modesty, but no one doubts his enormous ambition.
It's the ugliest looking thing we ever saw. Nobody has any idea.
Everyone agrees that more and more computers will be moving into our homes. By extension, so will Bill Gates. That's why we've been following Gates for the past few months. Not because he's rich, not simply because he's turned out to be a very successful businessman,
Mr. Bill Gates.
but because the business that he dominates has turned out to be so crucial. All of us are going to have our lives affected by him and by decisions that are being made about him. In a moment, who is Bill Gates? What does he want? And what will that mean for the rest of us?
Well, we took two of the colors that we really liked the best and took them into Sears, and they matched it perfectly for us.
Memorial Day weekend is perfect for painting, which means it's time for Sears Memorial Day paint sale.
One coat does this.
Every color, every brand, up to half off. Like either of these interior or exterior flat paints, save 50%.
With Weather Beater, I think we'll sell the house before we paint again.
The huge Memorial Day paint sale at Sears and Sears hardware stores.
People at Sears really made it easy for us.
There's a new direction in touring luxury automobiles. One with flawless workmanship, a rich leather-trimmed interior, and exceptional performance. For everyone who's been searching for the perfect car, Acura introduces the TL Series.
Extraordinary.
A master of imagination.
Extraterrestrial. The world of Steven Spielberg.
Saturday, Hollywood pays tribute. See the best moments from your favorite movies with Tom Hanks, Laura Dern, Jim Carrey.
I went out for E.T., I had all the moves down.
The AFI salute to Steven Spielberg, NBC Saturday.
NBC Thursday, Mercy.
Shit.
Hope and Gloria. Seinfeld. Friends. Must see TV, NBC Thursday.
Bill Gates is not your typical tycoon. The richest man in the country almost never spends the money to fly first class.
Well, there's no problem flying coach. You get there just as fast as first class. And if I was super large, probably sitting in those bigger seats would make a big deal. I'd take my computer along, and mostly I'm just sitting there.
I don't think Bill has any appreciation or has ever had any appreciation for his fame or what it could mean. Certainly the amount of money is something that he doesn't connect with. He tells me that after you pass a certain point, it doesn't matter. You can't eat any better, you can't travel any better. I haven't reached that point yet.
Next bid is 20. 20 million.
Gates did spend a little of his money, about $30 million last fall.
Thank you.
With a winning telephone bid, Gates bought the 500-year-old scientific notebook of Leonardo da Vinci.
I think he's just the most amazing person who ever lived.
Do you think someday people will pay $30 million for Bill Gates' notebook?
Oh, I doubt it.
Bill just comes from a world where what you're wearing, what you're eating, what you smell like is not terribly important. It's kind of like the kids in the chess club in high school. They just don't care. They're playing chess, and Bill's out there playing chess with the world.
Bill Gates has created his own world near his hometown of Seattle. In the suburb of Redmond, Washington, Gates has built a corporate campus. He's inlaid his trophies in the sidewalk, monuments to the Microsoft computer code, helping people, companies, and governments around the world operate more efficiently and more profitably. The Gates team is young, many just out of college. They're encouraged to play hard and work hard, and those who play by Gates' rules are rewarded, richly rewarded. On this day, Gates and one of his top managers, Steve Ballmer, threw a retirement party for a team leader. Many at Microsoft retire younger than Chris Smith did because they can afford to. Gates has kept wages low by paying employees in stock, and the company's rise has been so dramatic, many employees are stock rich. There may be as many as 3,000 Microsoft millionaires.
It's been a lot of fun working with Chris. So we have a little bit of a traditional gift to go along with this watch.
Most employees call him Bill, and any of them can talk with him by electronic mail, but off campus, he's more of a mystery. Even in his own hometown, the richest man in America is not always recognized on the street, and his sometimes quirky ways are a tempting target for Seattle cartoonist Berkeley Breathed, who featured Gates in his Sunday comic strip and in a computer screensaver that he designed.
Well, he didn't really enter my consciousness until I stood in front of him in line at a movie 3 or 4 years ago. Not only did he not have an entourage when I bumped into him, but he looked like he probably needed help buying that ticket. I mean, he doesn't fit. He's the kid that we made fun of in school. And in a sense, we never expected, those were not the kids that went on to become not only wealthy, which is really not that important, but powerful. And that makes him funny, is that he still actually probably gets sand kicked in his face, but he just goes and fires whoever did it.
Gates has been hiring instead of firing, expanding from 5,000 employees to 17,000 in the last 5 years. Every Monday, new recruits from all over the country begin learning the Microsoft way. No time clock, no dress code, no talking to the competition.
It's a great place. The culture really is, permeates the whole company. And there's something cool about ripping open boxes and figuring out how things work. And people want to play, they want to tinker, they want to really do great things.
What do you suggest? I don't want to have a scroll bar.
What they do is difficult to see. It's recorded on program discs like this one. Written instructions in a special language that tell the computer what to do. Those instructions, once they're loaded into the machine, allow you to manipulate the computer screen, to do math, to write, to draw, to send. Whatever it is that you need the computer to help you with. Microsoft has thousands of people who create those invisible instructions. That's software. Some of their competitors who also write software have nicknames for Bill Gates' workforce. They call them softies or microserfs, a kind of an army on a mission from Bill.
We have this fear, and it kind of motivates us of, geez, is there somebody else who's working maybe 10 hours more than we are? Is there somebody out there who's thought about something that we haven't thought about yet?
These guys can be taken, but the only way we're going to take them is by studying them. Know what they know. Do what they do. Watch them, watch them, watch them. Look for every angle. Stay on their shoulders. Clone them. Take every one of their good ideas and make it one of our good ideas.
Network operations is Greg. Well, Microsoft views itself as a company that's under siege. They have their whole mentality is a siege mentality, which is the way they operate. They saw us against the world, and they're very reactive as a company. Somebody does something, and Microsoft will do they'll quickly jump into that same realm. They think it's a competitor trying to surround them.
It's a very scary business. If you fall behind technically, no matter how much your past success has been, it's no guarantee that you'll continue to do well in the future. And so that really raises the question of why has Microsoft been able to do so well?
Well, this is a kid who, from the very earliest days, was using computers to make money. This was not a guy who went out after the first couple of years and did programming for free for charitable institutions, or went out and offered his services for free to anybody who would let him have computer time. This was a guy who was programming for money from about the 9th grade on.
Bill Gates grew up in comfortable surroundings. He's the son of a prominent Seattle attorney. When he was 12, Bill's parents sent him to Lakeside, a private school in North Seattle. At Lakeside, he became friends with an older classmate, Paul Allen. The two began experimenting with a computer terminal in the school's math and science building. Bill and Paul, along with a few other Lakeside students, began writing programs. A program to help teachers schedule classes. A program to help cities count the number of cars crossing an intersection. The boys were making a computer do things grown-ups were willing to pay for.
There were lots of people who were probably equally good programmers, if not better programmers. He's hired them over the years. But there are very few kids who had this mix of technical ability and entrepreneurial ability.
After prep school, Gates went to Harvard. His friend Paul Allen also went to Boston to work. There, the two of them saw a magazine featuring the world's first electronic computer small enough to sit on a desk. It was called the Altair, and it was designed in New Mexico by a group of computer enthusiasts led by Ed Roberts.
We lusted after computers. I mean, it was to own your own computer. There was just a lot of folks out there that was a. It's hard to imagine anything much more exciting than to do that.
Ed Roberts today is a small-town doctor in northern Georgia, but in 1974, he was giving birth to the personal computer, making Altairs and selling them to hobbyists unassembled and without software. And that's where Bill Gates and Paul Allen came in. They worked day and night for 6 weeks writing a computer language to run on Ed Roberts' new machine.
That was probably the language, or probably the milestone, even though it may not have been apparent to us at the time, that took computers away from the pure enthusiast and moved it to where this became something that almost anybody could work with.
Their computer language was such a hit that Paul Allen moved to Altair headquarters in Albuquerque. Gates dropped out of Harvard and joined him there, and the two continued writing software for Ed Roberts.
Paul's a real laid-back kind of guy, real nice guy, real gentleman. Always was a real gentleman. I think Bill Gates would be described pretty much as the antithesis of that. I mean, he's always sort of arrogant, always hard to get along with, always sort of a know-it-all, even when he was wrong.
And Bill was the only person I knew who wasn't afraid of Ed Roberts, who wouldn't just march in and argue with him. And they had some marvelous debates and arguments that I used to overhear. And I thought it was incredible that this 19-year-old kid could have so much moxie.
By the end of the 70s, Gates and Allen had rented space in an office building in Albuquerque and founded their own company called Microsoft. Their big break came in 1980 when they won a contract from IBM. IBM, Big Blue, it was at the peak of its powers, one of the greatest business empires ever. But in its deal with these whiz kids, IBM made a terrible blunder. The company paid Gates and Allen to develop a crucial link to the future, an operating code for Big Blue's new personal computer. Gates and Allen wrote the Microsoft Disk Operating System, MS-DOS. IBM licensed MS-DOS, but Gates and Allen kept the rights. Because IBM failed to see at the time the extraordinary value of owning that operating system, Gates and Allen were free to sell it to other computer companies.
And sell cheaply. They had incredible deals for people who were willing to sign up early. It was the Japanese market share strategy. You go out and get market share by lowballing and underselling the competition.
It didn't take long for MS-DOS and later Windows to become the dominant operating systems around the world. In 1983, Paul Allen retired from Microsoft when he learned he had Hodgkin's disease. Gates had the vision and the confidence to rule this new world of personal computers, and to do it not by building the machines, but by designing those unseen lines of code, the software that brought the hardware to life.
Did you know when he was a young man that he would become such an astonishingly astute businessman? Did you have a sense of that?
He was a very successful nut salesman as a Cub Scout, as a matter of fact. He had a certain style about him at the door. He was very good at selling nuts, so I guess maybe that was a an obscure sign. But in high school, you know, he started actually having a business about some of the things he was doing with computers. So there were clear signs at that level.
But when he was noodling around with computers and spending untold hours staying awake and playing with them and fiddling around with software, which must have been an alien language to you at that time.
It was then, and may still be now, as a matter of fact. But yes, and even sneaking out of his bedroom at night to go over to the computer center to play on the computer. It was, we didn't understand about that, and we were quite skeptical about all that.
Did you think it was going anywhere?
It did not occur to us that it would.
And do you remember the time when you and Mrs. Gates may have stepped back and looked at each other and thought, this is bigger than we ever thought it was possible?
I do.
Although this part of your resume is not often emphasized, my own judgment is that a good part of your reason for success is that you are a very skilled and effective salesman. Your father said you were a very good nut salesman when you were a Cub Scout.
I'm good at sharing my excitement for where this industry is going, or talking with a company about how we might be able to work with them. I'm not a negotiator. I hate negotiation, but I can paint a picture of excitement because it's what I feel.
But Gates' enthusiasm for the computer industry often generates fear in those who are losing to his army. Competitors count the growing number of disks that Gates has shipped in the last 3 years, and they wonder how long there will be room for anyone else.
Bill Gates has said that when he and Paul Allen founded the company, they had a vision, and the vision was a computer on every desk and in every home running Microsoft software. Problem is that everybody seems to think in the industry that what they'd really like is a computer on every desk and in every home running only Microsoft software. And that's what the industry's worried about.
We gave it a CFC-free air conditioning refrigerant that won't deplete the ozone because we wanted to be thoughtful about the environment. But we also gave it a finish so durable, it's warranted against rust through corrosion for 6 years or 100,000 miles. Because sometimes the environment doesn't return the favor. It's the new Cavalier. It's all you need. And it's genuine Chevrolet.
Surprise! You may have instantly won one of 15 all-new Chevrolet Monte Carlo! Or one of over 20,000 other great prizes! It's all part of the Victory Lap Instant Win Sweepstakes! Just look inside specially marked boxes of Kellogg's Cornflakes cereal to see if you've won!
Molly, Mom, come here.
When you're through providing your own action for the evening, it's Blockbuster's turn. With 9,000 ways to make it a blockbuster night.
Critics call Love Affair wonderfully romantic. Beatty and Benning set the screen on fire. Katharine Hepburn weaves a magical spell. Warren Beatty, Annette Bening. It's Love Affair from Warner Home Video, rated PG-13.
Hey, Gwen, could you get more straws, please?
Sure, no problem. Uh-oh. Wow!
What size beneath McDonald's? The dynamic deals start Tuesday.
I should set up the grill. No hurry. I ought to fix the screen door. No rush. I could paint the fence. Whenever.
It's True Values Can't Wait for Summertime Memorial Day Sale. 4 big days starting May 25th. 10 to 25% savings on summer's hottest items. From lawn and garden to tools and paint. From electrical to plumbing. Save 10 to 25% all through the store. But hurry, sale ends Monday. It's through. Help is just around the corner.
12 survivors stranded in splendor. Welcome to paradise. An island with no phone, no stress.
Thank you for this one special moment.
And no way out.
What happened?
We gotta go right now.
An NBC movie thriller.
Oh my God.
Hey, what the hell is this?
Swimsuit cover girl Kathy Ireland is on Danger Island, NBC Sunday.
She was stalked. She was terrorized.
I wish I could kill him.
She was accused of his murder. You kill him?
No, I didn't.
Veronica Hamill, victimized by a madman, then by the system. This is first-degree murder we're looking at. Her only hope, one cop who discovers the twisted truth. The freak is still alive. Shadow of Obsession, NBC Monday.
All of the money and power that Bill Gates accumulated in the 1980s is now available for spending in the 90s. So a lot of people want to go where he's going. At Comdex, the giant computer trade show in Las Vegas, Microsoft outspends the other 2,000 companies who are there. And all of those other companies want to know what Bill Gates is thinking.
Do you think that those people really know where it's all going, or are they just trying to get in position so they don't miss anything?
Well, nobody knows exactly what's going on.
What they do know is the business away from the office is growing at a tremendous rate. 1/3 of all American families now have a computer at home. The challenge for Gates is to keep expanding the need to have one, especially for the generation of kids growing up with personal computers.
A lot of places, and I envy a kid growing up today who has all these things.
What about the young Bill Gates who's out there right now? Is he or she spending all of her time at home in front of the PC screen and not reading the science fiction books, not picking up the book about Leonardo da Vinci and going through the traditional forms of learning?
I would have learned a lot more if I'd had these tools.
Microsoft Home. Gates has produced an encyclopedia and other reference books on computer disks. Information with flair, a computer trip through the world of knowledge. To keep selling his vision, Gates commissioned a short Cops and Bad Guys movie to show off what life could be like 10 years from now.
So let's go ahead and start the little story that I prepared.
Oh, no, allow me. You got the last one.
All the new devices that Gates foresees, electronic wallets, digital art displays.
Exquisite, isn't it?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Telephone screens, they all need software. And that's where Gates and Microsoft come in. You've got a new electronic toy, they want to run it.
Show how they're taking
Others want to run your electronic toys as well, of course. In addition to Microsoft, there are thousands of companies that write computer software. Gates has enormous power over all of these other independent developers. For this reason, his Microsoft operating systems now drive 80% of the world's personal computers. So other companies have to design their programs to work with Microsoft systems if they're going to compete in the intense battle for personal computer consumers. If you come up with a better idea for computer drawing, word processing, accounting, even games, it must work with Microsoft. That's why everyone in the industry keeps close track of Bill Gates and the new operating system that he's promised, Windows 95. But it's been delayed 3 times. So all those other companies have adjusted their schedules, whether they can afford to or not.
The next version of Windows, now called Windows 95, was announced years ago. In the interim, a lot of people have stopped developing for other possible things and started developing for this. And by pre-announcing early, they get everybody in on it, and you're just going to have to wait till they're ready. The term in the industry is FUD, standing for fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
They say that they're just doing what any good business does, informing customers about what's coming down the pipeline so they can adapt and prepare for it. And that's true. But to smaller companies, it sometimes can seem predatory because these smaller companies do not get the share of mind that Microsoft has. And so they suffer.
And I'll tell you, if it's a battle of announcements, they can make more than we can, and because they're Microsoft, they'll get the front page and they'll get more ink. A guy said to me the other day at one of the magazines, he said, I can't imagine. He said, they get more ink out of non-products than their competitors get from real products.
Gordon Mayer is president of a company in Northern California whose experience shows the difficulties in competing with Microsoft. GeoWorks writes operating systems for small computer-driven devices. Today, the company has to compete with announcements from Microsoft that caused potential customers to wait and see. But earlier, GeoWorks tried to compete with Microsoft's biggest success, Windows, and found itself in a David and Goliath battle that David lost.
Here's what they ran into. Bill Gates had written some very clever sales contracts. He encouraged computer makers to pay him for his operating system based on each machine they sold. He wasn't saying they couldn't install someone else's system on their machines, but if they wanted MS-DOS or Windows at the best price, they had to pay Gates for each machine they shipped. That made it tough for companies like GeoWorks.
We then would go to a computer manufacturer and say, we have a better solution. And they would look at it and say, you're right, it's better. But we have to pay Microsoft for every computer we ship, even if it doesn't have their software, even if it just has your software. So basically, they would have had to pay twice for an operating system. That really hurt us.
So many competitors complained about Microsoft's business practices that the U.S. Justice Department in 1993 began looking into whether Microsoft's domination of the software industry was unfair and anti-competitive. The head of the department's antitrust division, Ann Bingaman, last summer negotiated a settlement in which Bill Gates agreed to a few concessions, most importantly, to change the way Microsoft licenses MS-DOS and Windows. However, a federal judge refused to okay that agreement, saying the Justice Department had not gone far enough to limit Microsoft. The company and the government still are arguing the matter through the courts.
Who's in control here? It's the person walking into the software store, who's heard about the review or their friend has told them what's good, and they decide whether to buy that product or not. They have all the power, and there are hundreds of companies who are doing exactly the same thing, trying to do better products. So in a field like ours, there isn't much in the way of power.
That is not how it looked when Gates recently moved to buy a competitor. A software company called Intuit makes popular programs such as Quicken to help people do taxes, bills, and other banking on their computers. Microsoft has its own product, but it's not as popular. So Gates announced he would buy Intuit for stock worth more than $2 billion. In one deal, he would become the dominant force in the important area of personal finance.
I don't think people understand just what the computer is going to be like. It's going to be as pervasive and powerful and important as the telephone. And the way you're going to deal with your bank is through the computer.
Gary Reback was hired by several of Microsoft's biggest competitors to convince the Justice Department that Gates' purchase of the software company Intuit would hurt competition. The complaining companies asked that their names be kept secret from Microsoft, and the government agreed.
My clients represent other productive computer and software companies, and what they're trying to get is a level playing field. They make products that need input from Microsoft in order to succeed. And if Microsoft were to take a retaliatory approach to these companies, it could easily put them out of business.
So you're saying they can't live with them and they can't live without them?
It's a difficult relationship. Microsoft has a monopoly on what's called the operating system. The operating system's like the brain. And these other companies make the arms and the legs and so forth. But the brain tells the arms and the legs what to do. And he who controls the brain controls everything else. So these companies are very vulnerable to the prospect of being frozen out by Microsoft.
At the Justice Department, which had been criticized for going too easy on Gates, government lawyers sued Microsoft to stop the purchase of Intuit. Rather than go to trial, which would have dragged on for months, Gates last week canceled the deal.
What it means is that in terms of getting into personal finance, we won't have the great people at Intuit and the work that they've done to help us move into that area. But without it, it's not like Microsoft doesn't have lots of exciting new growth things that it'll be pursuing.
You don't think that you're in danger of becoming the AT&T of the 1990s, that a federal judge will come and say, we've just got to break them up, they've become too powerful and spread out too far?
Well, I think there's a big difference between a monopoly that was created by law and was the only choice for getting your communications, and walking into a store that has software and saying, boy, this Microsoft brand, I've had some great products there, let me try this out, and then being able to tell your friends, hey, that's a great product.
That's what we plan to keep on doing unless somebody tells us otherwise.
No one has to tell Bill Gates how to play the game of big business. The dilemma he presents to the government is, how do you encourage him to succeed without allowing him to use his dominant position against his competitors?
Microsoft has had a history of playing with both toes on the foul line. They get every advantage they can. Have they stepped over is always a tough call.
The Windows 3 development team.
The legal issues in these things are very, very tricky. You can do things that seem fine until you get to be a certain size, and then they're not fine anymore. When you go from being too small to too big, it's not exactly clear.
For the personal computer of the present and the future, the standard is determined by Bill Gates and Microsoft. Can he duplicate that on the information highway? And if he did, would that be worrisome for the country?
Introducing the new no-fee Ford Citibank card. With every purchase, you get an amazing 5% Ford rebate that grows toward the purchase or red carpet lease of a new Ford or Lincoln Mercury, like an Explorer, a Continental, or even a Mustang. Which means you can save big and really knock down your monthly car payment, all with the superior services of Citibank. Call 1-800-374-7777 for the new no-fee Ford Citibank card.
If you've ever worn contact lenses, you know what this equipment's for. But now there's One-Day AccuView. They're brand new. Just wear them a day and throw them away like I do. No fuss, no clutter. Just brand new lenses whenever you need them. As for this equipment,
right now, see your eye doctor for a free 5-day trial of One-Day AccuView and get $50 back on your first purchase.
if you're looking to simplify your life, you can't miss.
Hurry, this offer from One-Day AccuView ends June 30th.
Look out for the NBA Conference Finals. Saturday, the Magic battle the Pacers. Sunday, the Spurs face the Rockets. Monday, the Magic and Pacers meet again this holiday weekend.
Sunday.
Who are they? What do they want?
The aliens are back, and this time they brought their friends with them.
Stop!
Sequest, NBC Sunday.
Ohio's only 24-hour news channel. This is 13 News Around the Clock.
Coming up tonight at 11, it was a perfect night for the start of summer at the river, on the river and around Northwest Ohio. We're going to have a wrap-up report and the very latest on a major blow for the defense in the O.J. Simpson trial. His statement to police won't be allowed in without cross-examination, and another juror is dismissed. And Holly Strano has the Memorial Day forecast. Coming up tonight at 11, everyone. We'll see you then.
No payments or interest till August 96 if you buy Mitsubishi now at ABC Warehouse.
Get this Mitsubishi 45-inch stereo slim screen TV with advanced picture-in-picture, just $19.98.
The power of jobs. 125 new jobs at Alcoa, 350 new jobs at North Star BHP Steel. Over 5,000 new and retained jobs in Northwest Ohio, and still growing. Toledo Edison would like you to know that our hardworking economic development team is part of the partnership that's bringing new business and industry to our region. We've promised to be part of the reason new business says yes to Northwest Ohio. Toledo Edison Power is job power.
Turn the ordinary into extraordinary. Custom lampshades and recovering. Goodbye, boring lamps. Starlight lampshades, a more discriminating way to see the light. The difference between choice and selection. Over 2,000 shades in stock and nice people to help you find the right one. Starlight lampshades, a more discriminating way to see the light.
The holiday weekend forecast coming up tonight at 11.
So let's go ahead and show people how we take this watch I have on, which is a Timex watch, and send my schedule right down into it.
We'll send that data to Bill's watch.
This is cool. This is serious.
Everything Bill Gates has done up to now has been a warm-up for what is being called the information superhighway. What the highway means, first of all, is that words, numbers, and images will be converted into what's called digital signals, the basic code that computers read. All sorts of new things can now be manipulated by Bill Gates software. For example, a company Gates started bought the digital rights to thousands of images from art and photo collections. They're being turned into computer code, but for a price, can be sent through the air or by cable to video screens at homes.
Sooner or later, everything is going to go digital, meaning computer somewhere is going to have some control over it. It may not look like a computer. It may look like a TV. It may look like a telephone. It may look like something that we haven't seen yet. And Bill Gates wants a piece of one of those digital industries that he can get.
The mansion Gates is building near Seattle is his own personal test site for the information superhighway. It's also a metaphor for that highway. A structure is being put in place. 100 workers are assembling wood and stone. But what will fill it? When neighbors came to see for themselves, they heard about what they couldn't see.
We have everything in this complex runs with a computer, whether it needs to or not. And the technology is really unreal.
Some of the large video screens that will display the art in Gates' home have not yet been designed. Gates also wants visitors to wear small electronic devices that will control lighting and heating as they enter a room. But they've not yet been designed either. So just as the information superhighway still is under construction, so are the many parts that will fit onto it.
I'm wearing four microprocessors right now. I have a digital voice recorder, okay? I have the Scion, which you already saw. My pager, okay? And a dictionary thesaurus, an electronic book, okay? Now, how long before all these are in one device? 18 months, probably. Are these the right things to be in one device? Another 2 years.
One part of the information superhighway that is up and operating is the internet. It was started by the government 25 years ago for high-level research and information exchange. Now everyone from the president to these homeless people in a Seattle library can use the internet to connect to colleges, companies, libraries, and other computer users around the world.
Travel to Norway, to meet people in Norway, to travel to Australia, to travel virtually anywhere in the world.
The internet is the fastest growing community in the world. More than 20 million on the net so far and more coming on every day. This is much more than the world's largest party line. The commercial for profit possibilities are mind-boggling. Online companies such as CompuServe, Prodigy, and America Online have grown up to meet the new interest in communicating by computer. Their success did not escape the notice of Bill Gates.
A new area that we've decided to invest in is the online market. And we've decided there really is an opportunity to come in and bring some new innovation that will help grow this market. Now,
when Gates announced his own online service, the Microsoft Network, to start later this year, he said that buyers of his latest operating system, Windows 95, will have easy access to the network. An on-screen button will put a Windows user online with just one click.
Customers will find it very easy to sign up for the service.
The computer trade press wanted to know if Gates was playing fair by offering an online service to the expected 75 million users of Windows 95. Wouldn't he now take over the online market?
We don't do forecasts.
Microsoft headquarters is looking even more like a campus these days as code writers and testers work night and day to get Windows 95 ready for release in August. Just as the operating system software made this company 15 years ago, Gates tells his employees it is now their way to control the information superhighway.
If we lose out on that highway platform thing,
that's the core of our business. Our core, today Windows is our core, and Windows must expand to be the highway platform for us to retain our central position that we've always had.
Microsoft has totally locked everybody out of the most fundamental and basic software, the operating system software. Then they've taken that monopoly and they've extended it to the next market, applications. And now they're threatening to extend it to the next market, online systems. And as a result, one company will end up in control of how you deal with your bank, and how you deal with your department store, and how you deal with your employer. You may as well just send your tax return directly to Bill Gates, Tom. That's what's coming.
There are many ways to get out and use online services, use the internet.
And we're not in any kind of controlling position there. People write any kind of software, publish any kind of information without any permission from Microsoft at all.
There's no one who's in control of this phenomenon. It is happening in thousands of companies, and it'll be interesting to see what role we can play in that. But there's no one who can hold this thing back.
Gates has been negotiating deals with all kinds of companies, including NBC. Microsoft and NBC have announced plans to develop online services and CD-ROMs.
The best studios to
Recently,
work with, and
Gates also made a deal with Hollywood.
It would be silly if we were going to get into the interactive business without Microsoft. It's the best company in the world.
To simply
Earlier this year, Gates created a company with a new Hollywood studio, DreamWorks, headed by Steven Spielberg, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and David Geffen. The Microsoft DreamWorks partnership will produce stories and games for new technology. Gates says a lot of the future will play out on small computer screens like this one. And a lot of the future also will appear on larger television screens that you'll control with a computer-like device from some distance away. Gates wants Microsoft to be the brains for that future use of television, ordering up video when you want it. It's called interactive television.
What I'm showing you today is ideas and concepts of where interactivity can go in the future. Microsoft is developing the operating platforms from which other companies can go ahead and build applications.
I was looking back at Omar Vizquel.
Baseball, football, soccer, hockey, etc. I want music on the beach, something to do with Swiss. I just picked it out of a database, and I get Elvis Presley on the beach with Ursula Andress, a Swiss actress.
Excuse me, I know this is not the time to talk business.
This is an example of video telephony that will be possible in the future.
Got everything you asked for, even found...
Part of what I think interactive television is going to do is get rid of all of the headaches that the administration stuff we have to do with life.
It is not that hard to pick up the phone and call in a pizza order, and in fact it's easier to do it that way than it is to boot your computer, find the right program, fill in a bunch of check boxes, and then send the thing off the computer, or the pizza order off on the internet, so the internet recipient at the other end gets the pizza order. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's like, this is the classic, killing an ant with a sledgehammer kind of thing.
Hi, I'm Tom Brokaw. How are you?
No one is sure just how many people really want video on demand.
Welcome to the Full Service Network.
The Time Warner Company is testing interactive TV in Orlando, and so far, the level of response has been unclear. It takes a lot of money to build these systems, and many worry the new digital highway will be used only for commercial purposes, movies, sports, shopping, and so on. Critics say now is the time to build a system that will serve everyone by hooking up schools, libraries, even those who may need help to afford a computer.
We have this great tool and technology. We have the ability to hook up everybody to the information highway, but that's not happening.
Fine. That right there.
The computer technology is evolving in the direction of helping people that already have a lot of access get even more access and more power.
Go ahead.
David Bunnell volunteers at San Francisco's Glide Memorial Church. Bunnell, a wealthy computer magazine publisher, started a not-for-profit program that teaches computer skills to some of those who can't afford their own machines and software.
And it's just something about the power of the computer and the ability that the computer has to communicate with the person and to teach us that is so compelling. But it's been very difficult to get the money it takes to pay for the computer center and to get the kind of resources it would take to open up other computer centers around the country. The biggest cash donation I've gotten from a computer company has been about $5,000.
Do you see any kind of an Andrew Carnegie role for Bill Gates? I mean, he went around the country after he made his fortune in steel and built libraries, for example. Is there a Gates-like role that applies to the new information technology that you could do for this country, given your enormous resources and your understanding of where we're going?
Eventually, I'll get into a mode where I'm not working as much and taking what I've earned, which, 95% of it I'll give to charity, deciding how that's best applied. But I'm not in that phase of my life yet. I do make donations and things, but not the way I will later on when the focus isn't just making it all come true.
Part of making it all come true now means taking on the role of visionary. Gates is traveling and speaking more to people outside the computer industry. He and two other authors next fall plan to publish, on paper, a book called The Road Ahead. In one of the books that Microsoft publishes the new way, the Encyclopedia on CD-ROM, Gates describes a familiar goal.
Microsoft was founded based on my vision of a personal computer on every desk and in every home.
The challenge still facing Gates is to persuade all of us that his vision of the information superhighway is much wider than one narrow road back to Redmond, Washington.
The Acura TL series. Silk. An old friend, a relative, a long-lost brother.
The new TL series from Acura.
Engulfs you.
We could toss you some compelling metaphor or simile.
Like what? Like...
But inevitably, you'd come up with your own. Come see the all-new Acura TL series at your local Acura dealer.
You're the principal topic of my conversation. The apple of my eye. You're the principal source of my inspiration. The principal star in my sky.
For the principal people in your life, the Principal Financial Group. Insurance, pensions, managed health care, and more.
You're the principal reason I do what I do. The principal reason is you.
The Principal. For over a century, your edge on the future.
Hey, Gwen, could you get more straws, please?
Sure, no problem. Uh-oh. Wow!
What secret lies beneath McDonald's? The dynamic deals start Tuesday.
Fresh lemonade. I'll get the ice. You could use a fridge with an ice maker.
Oh, this one's from the Dark Ages.
Now, during the Memorial Day sale, you'll get a great deal on refrigerators at Sears Brand Central. Get 0% finance charge on all Kenmore refrigerators and more.
So my budget won't be squeezed.
No billing, no payments, no finance charge till November. On computers, self-cleaning ranges, camcorders. All this talk has made me thirsty.
We'll come back next week, and there'll be plenty of ice.
Later on The Tonight Show, start your holiday weekend with a splash at Jay's MTV Beach House competition.
Oh, I hope that restrictive suit doesn't hurt our test.
And James Woods has a new look.
You say one word about the haircut, and that goes.
No. And the X-Files' David Duchovny proves he's not an alien. Plus, DNA gone haywire. Stay up for Jay, NBC tonight.
You know this designated driver thing? It's a good idea. I think designated drivers should be awarded sainthood, except, of course, without the celibacy. It would be cool. People could kiss your school ring as you stood in line for the bathroom. You could get a little statue of yourself for your dashboard. And you'd be blessed with the knowledge that not only do saints save people's lives, they also almost never dry heave into their cornflakes the next morning.
Bill Gates' software business now needs allies, partners, After growing up free of regulation, Gates now needs help to keep it that way. At one Washington conference last fall, some of the biggest names in computers, telephones, movies, and cable television got together. The consensus was, as you might expect, that the government should do what it can to encourage competition, but otherwise just get out of the way.
The profits made out of the distribution system will...
The government needs to ensure that it's competitive, and they need to ensure that lots of applications flourish. But the ideal thing is to stay on the sidelines, see how well the marketplace does that, and only change the rules if the marketplace isn't doing a great job.
We should just trust the cable companies and the phone companies and the software companies to create the information highway for us, and we don't have to worry because they have our best interests at heart. Baloney. They don't have our best interests, they have their best interests at heart. That's what they're supposed to do. They're running companies. They're supposed to create profit for their stockholders. They're not doing anything wrong. But this information highway is just too important to be left to the private companies.
But it is the powerful companies that are revving up for the information superhighway.
But we've got to have that as a feature. I mean,
Here's Bill Gates' counterpart in the cable TV business, John Malone of TCI, the largest cable company in the world. Malone and Gates are new friends. One has the software, one has the hard cable that leads into a home.
I just want to know where a rendezvous point is.
Right after you're done, just outside.
At the front?
Right at the front, and then we'll grab a car and head.
And when do you think it'll be 6 or?
Well, you tell me. It's right after your...
6:10.
6:10.
Great.
Good. We'll see you then, Bill.
A lot of businessmen would like to be in Gates' position. Everyone needs what he sells. Everyone wants to ride with the winner.
They just have
a wallet here?
There's the wallet, PC, and the screen in one shot to make it a single.
He's come a long way for a college dropout since his days as a computer nerd. But he still works as if he's 19, not 39.
That's the cash register.
I'm confused.
Okay.
What is the first still I'm going to see?
The first still you're going to see is the two cops.
With the wallet PC?
Okay, can we, just 1 second. He's got the wrong still here.
Is there going to become a time in your life when you're going to be able to let go of this a little bit? Or is the appetite so voracious on your part and the need to be competitive so great that you can't let go of it?
I work hard because I love my work. It's not some addiction. I like lots of things, and vacation is fun. I take now 3 weeks of vacation a year. If I spent too much time on that, I'd get out of touch with where we really are and making sure Microsoft stays out in front.
What I've got here, Bill, is an application developed in Office for NT that allows pit crews to handle something like...
Gates loves his day. I mean, here's a guy who can essentially do anything he wants.
That's very fast.
Which is exactly what he did when he was a kid.
I have the feeling that the next 20 years of Bill Gates will be even a lot more interesting than the past 20 years. So I don't think he'll give up that mountain down. I think that mountain will be maybe a lot higher than anybody dreams.
There's no telling what Bill Gates is going to be like at 50 years old or at 60. And will he turn into more of a tycoon type fellow? Will he get even more eccentric? Will he be alone in that castle that he's building on the shores of the lake, whispering Rosebud at the end? You know, we don't know.
A lot of people embrace what Bill Gates has accomplished. They'll not only stand in line to hear him speak, they'll root for his success in whatever new technology drives the information superhighway. Even Gates' critics, those who think that he's arrogant, ruthless, and greedy, they have to admire his genius for technology and business, a rare combination. Many may wonder if what's good for Microsoft is good for the country. Young Mr. Gates doesn't have any of those doubts.
Hello, everyone. I'm Patrick Greenlaw. Coming up on 13 News tonight at 11, the unofficial start of summer has officially begun as Northwest Ohioans hit the roads and they rally by the river. We'll have details, and Holly Strano will have your holiday weekend forecast coming up tonight at 11.
Where you been?
We want to eat.
Well, I was over there talking to old Charlie.
Okay? Okay. Okay?
Okay.
Gentlemen, start your pictures.
Kellogg's Rice Krispies in stereo.
Snap, crackle, and pop, plus that crisp toasted taste.
Now for the best part. You make them disappear.
What other cereal sounds so good?
Over the years, Little Caesars has run promotions with many of its neighbors. 2 pizzas and a back rub. 2 pizzas and a colorful fish. And some chattering teeth. And this thing. And one of our most popular, the Perm.
I'll never top that one.
Finally, 2 pizzas and a movie.
Wow.
It's the Blockbuster Video Pizza Deal. Buy 1 Little Caesars pleaser loaded with cheese and toppings and a pizza with 1 topping all for a low, low price. And now get a free Blockbuster Video rental when you rent 2.
Pizza.
To purchase a video copy of Tycoon, Tom Brokaw's profile of Bill Gates, call 1-800-420-2626 and order. Dial toll-free, MasterCard and Visa accepted. Tycoon, $24.95 plus shipping and handling. Tax where applicable.
Jay conjures up X-Files star David Duchovny and James Woods later on The Tonight Show. Your local news is next.
Hello, I'm Patrick Greenlaw. Coming right up, a couple of major developments today in the Simpson trial. Another juror is dismissed, and a major blow for the defense. Also, the Memorial Day forecast coming right up.